Justin Trudeau is facing the fight of his political life, and this time, there's no escape. The SNC Lavalin scandal, the corruption case that rocked Canada in 2019, is back with a vengeance. But now, it's not just whispers of impropriety or ethics violations, it's a full-blown legal assault. Democracy Watch, one of Canada's most relentless watchdog groups, has dropped a bombshell. They're taking Trudeau to court. Why? Because the RCMP, the very agency tasked with investigating the Prime Minister, has been accused of protecting him. Evidence of political interference, redacted witness statements, and a legal standard so twisted it defies belief. This isn't just about Trudeau anymore, it's about a justice system that's been bent, broken, and manipulated to shield the most powerful man in the country. And now, Democracy Watch is demanding accountability. Could this private prosecution finally expose the truth? Could it lead to jail time for Trudeau? The cracks in Trudeau's carefully crafted image are widening, and the consequences could be catastrophic, not just for him, but for the entire Liberal Party. What happens next could change the course of Canadian politics forever. Buckle up, because this is the scandal Trudeau doesn't want you to hear about. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why. The RCMP Cover-Up. The SNC Lavalin scandal was supposed to be over. The RCMP claimed they investigated, the Liberals moved on, and Trudeau's government hoped Canadians would forget. But now, Democracy Watch has blown the lid off what they're calling one of the most shameless cover-ups in Canadian history. Newly uncovered documents reveal that the RCMP's investigation into Trudeau's alleged obstruction of justice was anything but thorough. Out of 15 key witnesses, only 4 were interviewed. That's right, 4, and the rest ignored. Even more shocking, the RCMP relied on public statements from Trudeau and his inner circle, taking their word at face value instead of digging deeper.
And what those documents show is that the RCMP did a weak, incomplete investigation. They only interviewed 4 of 15 key witnesses, and they trusted the public statements of everyone involved in pressuring the Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, at the time. And they also changed the standard that they used for determining whether there had been an obstruction of justice, using an incorrect legal standard for making that assessment.
But it gets worse. The RCMP didn't just fail to investigate properly, they actively tilted the scales in Trudeau's favor. They used an incorrect legal standard, requiring proof of corrupt intent to pursue charges when the law only requires evidence of willful interference. This legal misstep wasn't just a mistake, it was a gift to Trudeau, one that ensured no charges would ever stick. And let's not forget the redacted evidence. Key statements from Jody Wilson-Raybould, Jessica Prince, and Jane Philpott, witnesses who were at the center of the scandal, were blacked out. What were they hiding? What damning truths were erased to protect the Prime Minister?
Another sign of the RCMP's lack of independence and weak investigation in this situation is that the RCMP accepted the Trudeau cabinet's very restricted order in terms of what cabinet documents could be disclosed to the RCMP for its investigation, and also what Jody Wilson-Raybould, the former Attorney General, and others could say about the situation and the pressuring by the Prime Minister and others who were acting at the direction of the Prime Minister.
This isn't just incompetence, it's a betrayal of the justice system. The RCMP, Canada's top law enforcement agency, is being accused of bending to political pressure, shielding Trudeau from accountability, and allowing the Prime Minister to walk away unscathed. But Democracy Watch isn't letting this slide. They're demanding answers, and they're taking the fight to court. Could this private prosecution finally force the truth into the light? Or will Trudeau's government find another way to bury the evidence? One thing is clear. The cracks in Trudeau's armor are growing, and the fallout could be devastating. But this is just the beginning, and it's not just Trudeau who should be worried. Before we continue, I'd like to ask for a small favor. If you're enjoying this content, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. Fun fact, over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. Your support makes a big difference. and helps us keep creating content like this. Thanks so much for considering it. Now let's get back to the video. How deep does the corruption go? The SNC Lavalin scandal isn't just about Justin Trudeau anymore. It's about the very foundation of Canada's justice system. How could a case this explosive, involving allegations of political interference at the highest levels, be handled so poorly? The answer lies in a system that critics say is designed to protect the powerful, not hold them accountable. At the heart of the controversy is the RCMP, an institution that should be independent but is anything but. Its leadership, including the commissioner and deputy commissioners, are handpicked by the Prime Minister and his cabinet. They serve at the pleasure of the very people they're supposed to investigate. This glaring conflict of interest has turned the RCMP into what some are calling a puppet of the government.
Because the RCMP commissioner, the deputy commissioner, and the heads of every division of the RCMP are all chosen by and serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister and the cabinet. And as a result, they lack independence and are vulnerable to political interference.
But the rot doesn't stop there. When the RCMP finally decided not to prosecute anyone in January 2023, it wasn't announced publicly. It was a secret, behind-closed-doors decision that only came to light after Democracy Watch fought for years to obtain internal documents. Why the secrecy? What were they trying to hide? Even more damning, the RCMP accepted strict limits imposed by Trudeau's cabinet on what evidence they could access. Cabinet communications, key to understanding whether Trudeau or his staff crossed the line, were off limits. Witnesses like Jody Wilson-Raybould were restricted in what they could say. And instead of challenging these restrictions, the RCMP simply went along with them.
What the RCMP should have done, and if there was a special prosecutor who was independent, they probably would have done, is they would have applied to court to get access to those internal cabinet communications, which are obviously key evidence concerning whether the obstruction of justice or breach of trust occurred.
This isn't just a failure of one investigation, it's a systemic issue. Canada's anti-corruption system has been ranked among the weakest in the developed world by organizations like Transparency International. Delays, secrecy, and political interference have created a culture where the powerful can act with impunity, knowing the system will protect them. And Trudeau isn't the first to benefit from this broken system. Democracy Watch is now calling for the creation of a fully independent anti-corruption police force that can investigate government officials without fear of political retaliation. But will it happen? Or will this scandal, like so many others, fade into the background as the system continues to shield those in power?
It's why Democracy Watch is also calling today for a new, fully independent anti-corruption police force to be established. Several other experts have called for this for years as well, because the RCMP has done such a bad job, has such a bad record in these kind of anti-corruption cases, also including cases involving money laundering, which is often tied into corruption. And
the stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about Trudeau's political future, it's about whether Canadians can trust their own government. And as Democracy Watch prepares to take their case to court, the question remains, will the justice system finally deliver accountability, or will it once again protect the powerful? The question now is, could Trudeau face jail time? Could this scandal bring down the Liberal Party? And what does it mean for the future of Canadian politics? Could Trudeau face jail time? The stakes of this private prosecution couldn't be higher. If Democracy Watch succeeds in its legal battle, the consequences for Justin Trudeau could be catastrophic, not just politically, but personally. We're not just talking about a slap on the wrist or another ethics violation. We're talking about the possibility of jail time. Under Canadian law, obstruction of justice and breach of trust are serious criminal offenses. If convicted, Trudeau and others involved could face significant fines and even prison sentences. And Democracy Watch isn't pulling any punches. They've laid out a damning case, accusing Trudeau of willfully interfering in the SNC Lavalin prosecution to protect his political allies.
February 27th, 2024.
And if this was to go ahead with an independent prosecution, like you would like. And there was convictions. What could be some of the possible penalties, I suppose, if it did go that far?
The penalties are significant fines and possible jail terms, both for breach of trust and...
But this isn't just about Trudeau. The fallout from this case could ripple across the entire Liberal Party. The SNC Lavalin scandal already cost the Liberals their majority in the 2019 election, and now, with Democracy Watch dragging the case back into the spotlight, the party's reputation is once again on the line. How many more scandals can the Liberals survive before their support collapses entirely? And then there's the question of public trust. Canadians are already disillusioned with a justice system that seems to favor the powerful. If this case exposes even more evidence of political interference, it could spark a national reckoning. And let's not forget the political theater that's about to unfold. If this case moves forward, Trudeau could be forced to testify in open court. Imagine the Prime Minister of Canada, under oath, answering questions about his role in one of the country's biggest political scandals. The optics alone could be devastating, not just for Trudeau, but for the entire Liberal government. And what happens if the Ontario Attorney General's office steps in? They could take over the prosecution, but Democracy Watch is already warning against partisan interference. If the case is mishandled, it could deepen the public's distrust in the justice system and fuel even more outrage.
Whether a private prosecution can go ahead. What can happen is that the Attorney General of Ontario, a lawyer representing the Crown Counsel of the Attorney General of Ontario, can step in and take over the prosecution. So that is possible that could happen, and then the Attorney General's office in Ontario would have the discretion to stop the prosecution if they so wished. We hope that process will also be done through a special prosecutor, because the Attorney General of Ontario is obviously a politician from a political party.
This is uncharted territory for Canadian politics. A Prime Minister facing the possibility of criminal charges, a justice system under fire for its lack of independence, and a public demanding answers. The next steps in this case could reshape the political landscape in ways no one could have predicted. Justin Trudeau's carefully constructed image as a progressive, transparent leader is crumbling under the weight of the SNC Lavalin scandal. The allegations of political interference, the RCMP's questionable investigation, and the looming private prosecution have exposed cracks not just in his leadership, but in Canada's entire justice system. This isn't just about one man or one party, it's about the future of accountability in Canadian politics. If Trudeau walks away unscathed, what message does that send to future leaders? That the powerful can manipulate the system and escape justice? Or will this case set a precedent proving that no one, not even the Prime Minister, is above the law? The questions are chilling. What happens if Trudeau is forced to testify? What if the prosecution uncovers even more damning evidence? And most importantly, will Canadians finally see justice served? Or will this scandal be buried like so many others? One thing is certain. The fallout from this case could change Canada forever. The truth is coming, and when it does, it won't just be Trudeau on trial. It will be the entire system. If you want to stay updated on this explosive story and other breaking political controversies, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. The fight for accountability is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next.